My name is Jon Lockhart. I just got out of jail a few hours ago. And now, I want to know why everything went down the way it did.
Hi, this is Glen at SwitchUp, and we have Metropolis Lux Obscura to review for you today. Thank you very much to developers Sometimes You for providing us with a review copy. This game is based around themes that are very much aimed at adults and is definitely not for kids. But is it any good? Let's find out. The game is clearly inspired by Frank Miller's Sin City graphic novels. The dirty, corrupted city where you fight or you die is shown via black and white comic book panels with splashes of soft colour thrown in for good measure. For the most part, the characters are drawn well enough, although some of the drawings are a little crude looking. The music takes its cues from the film noir detective movies, and this fits the theme quite well. Being influenced by SimCity should give you an idea of the themes present throughout the game. There is a lot of swearing, nudity, and also scenes of sex between characters. These are a little odd, to be perfectly honest, almost like the characters move like marionettes with cheesy grins on their faces. It kind of reminded me of that infamous scene from Teen America. You know the one I'm talking about. All cutscenes are fully voice acted, and the effectiveness of this ranges from decent to questionable.
Goldie, she's thin ice, man. Or did you forget that stripper testified against you?
She must have had a good reason.
The comic book style is pretty cool, although as mentioned the animation is a little awkward at times, and graphics and music get 12 out of 20. The Sin City influence goes past the visuals though, with the main character seemingly based on Marv from this series. And there is even a stripper called Goldie, another nod to the Hard Goodbye storyline from Sin City. Other comic book references include a mafia boss called Falcone, most probably influenced by Batman, which has a similarly named character. It's the story of a man recently released from prison, looking to make sense of who set him up and why. You are presented with a city map between cutscenes and need to choose your next destination in order to drive the story forward. This is nowhere near as involved as it sounds though, as you normally only have the choice of one place to visit, sometimes two, and the order that you visit certain places when you are given the choice determines the ending you end up getting, of which the game has 4. The story is pretty thin and doesn't always make complete sense. This is partly due to certain story plot points only being revealed in the ending sequences, so you only have all of the information once you have seen all 4 endings. It's nice to have a game that goes for something a little more adult themed in its story. Variety is the spice of life after all, but the story isn't great, and its influences are just a little too obvious and a little bit too on the nose at times. Story gets 10 out of 20. Metropolis Lux Obscura is basically a match-free puzzler, which means you match 3 or more of the same tile to clear them from the board. Each set piece of the story ends up with you fighting someone. You both have a set amount of health points, and the match ends when someone's health points reach 0. If it's your opponent's, then you advance through the story. If it's yours that run out, you will see the game over screen and need to try that match again. There are various different icons on the game screen, all fighting related, so match 3 or more fists and that sees you land a punch, 3 feet, a kick, and so on. There are health pickups that you can match to restore some health points, and matching 3 skulls causes you damage, so of course you need to avoid these. Clearing more than one set in one go results in a combo and much more damage being dealt as a result. The game is perfectly playable and the matches are actually quite fun. With some characters you will take it in turns to land a hit on each other, but with some of the stronger characters they will attack you every 2 or 3 turns, meaning that you have a chance to get a few hits in before they can respond. These characters generally hit pretty hard when they do finally have a turn. There are also aggression tiles, and matching these builds an anger bar at the bottom of the screen. The more you fill it, the more damage you do in subsequent turns. When you do beat an opponent, you have a chance to pick a skill or a perk which will make you stronger. These include permanent health upgrades, doing more damage when using the fist or feet tiles, the picture on the tile subsequently changes to show knuckle dusters or a gun for example, or being able to extend the maximum length of your anger bar so that you can potentially build stronger attacks. This is all very welcome, adding a further level of strategy to the game and meaning that 2 playthroughs could play out quite differently to each other. One negative that I do have with the gameplay is the strange omission of some sort of arcade or high score mode. The story mode is fun, and it's good to see a little thought go into how to freshen up the match-3 genre, but for me, puzzle games are all about fast pick up and play bursts. If this had an arcade mode, I would have turned it on for quick matches long after having finished the story. It would have been a nice touch to see characters you beat in story mode become unlocked in an arcade mode. The gameplay is fun and the story mode was an interesting feature, but the lack of an arcade mode is a strange omission in a puzzle game. This is still the strongest part of the game though, and gameplay gets 14 out of 20. You can use standard controls or the touchscreen to play. In my opinion, the game feels quite clunky when using a controller and not as tight and precise as you would want. The game does not penalise you for this imprecision, so it's not a huge deal, but I found the game much more enjoyable to play with touchscreen controls. It just doesn't quite feel right with a controller for me, and it's a little more cumbersome than it needs to be. Overall though, the controls are okay and receive 12 out of 20. Metropolis Lux Obscura costs £7.19 or $7.19. As mentioned, there are 4 endings to the story, and it will probably take a couple of hours to see all 4 of them if you were to make the right decisions to unlock them first try. This is my biggest problem with the game. Having the matches wrapped into a story makes them less accessible, and if I have a spare 10 minutes, I would have quite happily started this game up for a quick match, were it not for the fact that I need to start a new save file and wade through a good few cutscenes first. It would have been such an easy fix too. It just needed to have a quick play or arcade mode added, as already mentioned. As it stands, it's still a decent game if you like match-3 puzzlers, and I applaud the developer for trying something new with the story. Any criticism I had about the lack of quick play mode is not a criticism of it having a story mode. I just felt it needed both to keep players invested. Value gets 10 out of 20. To conclude, Metropolis Lux Obscura is a fun puzzle game that tries to wrap these mechanics into something more adult oriented. The use of nudity, swearing and violence is clearly a way to entice people to buy yet another match-3 puzzler, a market that has become saturated since the explosion of mobile gaming, and whether this works or not is clearly down to the individual. Metropolis Lux Obscura's biggest downfall is its lack of replayability, which for a match-3 puzzle game is a major issue and cripples the game in a lot of ways. I think we are still yet to see a puzzle game on the eShop that gets price, longevity and an addictive quality spot on, but this slightly above average attempt may scratch an itch for some people while the wait goes on. Metropolis Lux Obscura gets 58%. Thanks everybody for watching. Please like the video if you liked and subscribe to SwitchUp for all things Switch all the time, and as always, happy gaming.